the one who, we want to make sure that the one who knows this didn't really happen is not the character. Because if the character believes that this didn't really happen, then we've moved from nothing, everything counts but nothing matters, to simply nothing matters. And down that path is nihilism and suffering of a different grade. So recognizing that, so if I'm awake to this arising, I can recognize, okay, so this didn't really happen. So if I'm awake to this arising, I don't have to say that because I know it. So if I'm not awake to this arising, I can refer to that, but in order to remain true to myself, so I don't trick myself into some kind of psychological spirituality, is bring it back to the fact, but it feels like it happened. It feels, it still impacted me. I mean, I'm not suffering over it, but it did impact me initially, because as a full-blown human over here, it was and it can be seen through, as you were saying, while I can still remain engaged. So in other words, if I'm an anti-gun activist, I may, or if I'm not, and I become one over this, great. Go out and I'll do what I do there. If I don't feel drawn to that, there's no point in thinking that I should be drawn to that, because the ones who need to be going out and doing that activism will be drawn to it. They can't do anything else. They don't know it. Because it is going to feel like a choice. If putting the feels like back into, because it's like the full return, the Zen ox herding pictures, where the guy where the monk comes back to the village. He's been chasing the ox. He found, which is for those of you who are not familiar with that, then it's the ox is like a metaphor for enlightenment, and the monk's been chasing the ox and finding the ox, hearing about the ox, seeing tracks of the ox, catching seeing the tail of the ox, blah blah blah, until finally he gets the ox. He rides the ox, and depending on the way that series is presented, it will be from 1 to 10 in a specific order. In the order that I actually think of it, it's that when the ox is riding the bull and returns to relativity to help. That's the bodhisattva action. It doesn't actually mean I'm foregoing my enlightenment, which is what's thought of. But I'm foregoing personal enlightenment in order to be enlightened and provide enlightened action. So it's really recognizing that not everything counts, but nothing matters. But everything counts. So that might be a better way for me to start phrasing that. Actually, just dawned on me, is that nothing matters, but everything. Everything counts, but nothing matters, but everything does count. That's the better way probably to put it, to put the juice back in, because it doesn't, my air conditioning was recently off, and I never actually came up with I never spotted the problem. I didn't have any resistance. There was, in the sense that there was no resistance, no overt resistance in the way that my air conditioner shouldn't be broken. There was that subtle resistance of, man, it's really hot in here. That was probably a little bit more than just a statement. If I go to your place, it's really hot in here. If at my place, it should be cooler than this. That full return, I've got a zillion things in order, and I have no time to write. But I would love to write a book called Full Circle, which is about this journey. And it is that coming back, as before Zen, mountains were mountains and rivers were rivers. And in pursuit of enlightenment, mountains were not mountains and rivers were not rivers. And then upon enlightenment, I found out, mountains are mountains, rivers are rivers. It's the re-importance of relativity, because everything really does count. Excuse me, everything, it does. It counts. It doesn't matter, but it counts. That dismissive doesn't matter. That's just to keep us in touch with the truth, which is that there's just me. And I don't know what should be happening here. That's the great thing. In the absence of knowing what I am or what's going on here, I have no way to formulate a story about what should be going on, and therefore there can't be any resistance. Just in the same way that I was talking about a few minutes ago, that I found I can't project, at least at that moment, I found I could not project. The inability to project I just don't have to worry about the future because I can't project it, right? It doesn't mean, though, that I can't simultaneously put things on my calendar that that I meet Kathleen every other Friday. Hope to God I'm going to be on time. So it's who knows, but you can still do that. And my calendar goes pretty far out, but I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't, I'm not I don't think any of that stuff should happen. Right. I have clients, regular students even that, cancel out on me at the last minute. And I don't have any belief that somebody's to meet me at 3 until they do. So it's not going to ruffle me but so much. It doesn't ruffle me much at all. It's like, oh, I see. I get to read for the next hour. Cool. And, they're just like, oh, please forgive me. And I've had, people tell me, please charge me and for having missed and stuff like that. It just doesn't work like that, because I'm going to call you sometime. Or I'm going to be late to a satsang, or I'm going to have to cancel out on you for something. It's just, we can't be wedded to these things. We don't need, that doesn't mean that we ignore them.